I cannot even begin to describe how big of a win that is to get game one on the road for the Seattle Mariners. Let's go. One down. One down. What is up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back and welcome into the Seattle Mariners ALCS Game 1 post-game recap. 3-1, the Mariners defeat. I don't know why I just held up two fingers there, but 3-1, the Seattle Mariners defeat the Toronto Blue Jays in Game 1, and they take a 1-0 lead in the series. Game 2 tomorrow afternoon in Toronto. As always, like the video. It helps get it out to more people. Subscribe if you're new or lurking, closing in to 5,300 subs now. Thank you to every sub, new and old. Appreciate you all. And comment your thoughts on the team and the game down below. So many things to shout out in this game. So many things. We could talk about how important winning game 1 for the Mariners is in this series. To go into Toronto and do that is just absolutely huge and does kind of change the tone of the series a little bit. Certainly doesn't end it. Doesn't do it. Mariners lost game 1 to the Tigers, but it does flip the series a little bit. We could start with that. Cal Raleigh, another home run, just continues to do it. Base hit as well. 2 more hits. Jorge Polanco continues to be clutch. The bullpen absolutely lights out. I think we got to start, though, with Bryce Miller. What an outing today from Bryce Miller. A gutsy, dominant performance from him on the mound. 6 strong innings on 3 days rest. He did that today. That is what is so beautiful about this game and about the postseason. Before game 4, I talked about it, right? Bryce did not have a good season. No doubt about it. But what did I talk about? Redemption, right? Postseason is a chance. It's a chance to make up for a lost season. And I guarantee you for someone like Bryce Miller, he looks at this as a second season, a second chance here on a bit of a lost year for him. Not all his fault that he was bad this year, most of it injuries. And he has delivered this postseason. He has made it where you have not felt the loss of Brian Wyatt, who is on the ALCS roster. We'll see if it's announced when he'll pitch, what the role is going to be, but Wu does make the ALCS roster here. I am so happy and proud, not that Bryce Miller needs me to be proud of him, but just so great to see. It's great seeing the stars being stars, but for someone like Bryce, who could have easily just had a throwaway season, and forgettable. And we go, hopefully Bryce bounces back in 2025. He's making it 2026, excuse me. He's making an impact on the 2025 Seattle Mariners. Just, man, it is what baseball is all about. And he pitched well in game 4 against Detroit. I talked about it in that recap, that kind of a shame that we can't focus on that because, man, the Mariners had a chance to clinch that series there and didn't. So it's more, frustrating we didn't get the win. But Bryce was great in Detroit for game number 4 as well. He's been right up there with what Kirby's done this postseason. Logan, Castillo. The Stars have been fantastic all around, right? Kirby was great game 1, Castillo game 2, Logan 3, Bryce 4, Kirby 5, and Bryce in game 1 tonight. That first inning was so important for Bryce Miller. So important and so big that he battled through it. Love how they showed post-game Cal going out there to the mound, or I think going into the 9th, they showed it. Cal was talking to Bryce I think it was after the Springer home run, which happens on the first pitch, and just kind of calming him down, right? Like, they weren't going to shut out the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays were going to get a couple off you. At the time, that's what we're thinking, right? Obviously, that didn't happen. And Bryce was still in good shape. Get out of this inning, 1-0, plenty of time to battle back. And then he walks Lucas on like 13 pitches, an incredible at-bat there for Lucas, who ends up getting hurt on that. That'll be interesting to monitor for the rest of the series. Again, we never root for injuries here. It's not what this is about, but definitely an injury that will impact the series potentially the rest of the way. Bryce was in trouble. And even Vlad hits a really loud out for the first out, but he settles in, and I thought pitched the best he's pitched all season. Not just considering the magnitude of the game, just in general, just his best pitch game of the season. And kudos to him for, bouncing back after that first pitch. Listen, Springer got him, right? He tried to kind of sneak a 97, by him on the outside edge there. Springer took a swing at it, hit it out of the ballpark. That crowd is loud. I got to tell you, Seattle and Toronto are the 2 loudest crowds I have heard in the postseason. Not even close. Sorry. If you're a fan of another team here, it's not personal, just my opinion. We can debate it, but Toronto and Seattle have been the most locked in. That crowd was in a frenzy when Springer hit that home run. and an absolute frenzy. And you could kind of feel it, though, as Miller settled in a little bit, right? Crowd got a little more cautious. Gausman pitched extremely well. We'll get into that. You kind of see him go, can we get another run here? And we've been there, right? As the Mariners kind of like, hey, can we add on another run? And who was going to step up for the Mariners, right, in this game offensively then was the question. So, yeah, you could kind of feel the energy started out really high for the Jays, and it stayed high for a long time there, but kind of in the fourth, fifth, sixth, I think you kind of feel the fans go, we could use another run, boys. And again, can relate to that 100% there, but what a job by Bryce Miller today. Let's talk about how important winning game one of this series is also. By the way, shout out Seahawks repping the sweater, a W. Great day for Seattle sports. Seahawks and Mariners win. I think I need to make an apology video. I think I mentioned this before, but after the first Seahawks game, I did a video and said I just thought they looked kind of mediocre. I got to tell you, Sam Darnold is cooking for the Seahawks, and the defense without Woolen, Spoon, Love, and Woolen too, really stepped up today. So just want to shout that out. I was probably wrong in that because the Seahawks look like a really good football team. Hopefully they keep it going. Okay. When you're the road team in these series, right? It was why Detroit winning game one was so important for them. Now, again, series isn't over, right? Mariners lost game one. Detroit still won the series. Long way to go in this, 100%. But you've got to win at least one on the road, right? That's your goal as the road team when you got the first two on the road. Win one, then you go back home in great shape, series tied. And truthfully, not saying it's going to happen because you don't know, but the Mariners could win this series in Seattle now. They could go home and win three. They had to win at least one on the road in this entire series. And you'd love to get, like I said, one on the road here to start in the first two. And they do that. So that alone, just winning one is huge to begin with here. And it kind of gets you back into, you retake the home field advantage a little bit. I think it puts all the pressure on Toronto tomorrow. They have to win tomorrow. They cannot go to Seattle down 0-2. Again, doesn't mean the series would be over, but mentally you can't do that. We talked about it for the Mariners, right? You had to win game two. You had to do it. You could not go to Detroit down 0-2, and the Blue Jays cannot go to Seattle down 0-2. Savage has been outstanding for them, so I'm sure they feel confident they're going to get it done, but the pressure's on them. The pressure is on the Blue Jays to find a way to win that game tomorrow. I also thought coming into today, a lot of the pressure was on the Blue Jays. I think I talked about a little bit in my preview yesterday. Kevin Gausman, their ace on the mound, maybe a Savage's now. I still think you'd say Gausman with the veteran experience there against Bryce Miller, who's not making a spot start, but on 3 days rest. Not a guy that, if the Mariners didn't have to use Logan or Castillo at the end of game 5, Bryce would not have started this baseball game. The pressure was on Toronto. I was texting people, Toronto better win this. They better win this. Everything's in the ball's in their court to win it. And they didn't. The Mariners end up stealing this one. And not stealing it in the sense of like this game was in the bag for the Blue Jays stealing, but stealing it in the sense of just getting that first game, on the road here in a game that was favored, pretty heavily, I think, to the Blue Jays. Not like any game in a CS or the playoffs is going to be heavily favored, but definitely a game where I think pregame you would favor the Toronto Blue Jays to win it, and the Mariners go in there and get it. So, like, the worst case scenario now, the worst case, you're going back to Seattle, tied 1-1, where if you win the 3 in Seattle, the series is going to be over. I mean, that's the worst case scenario that's going to happen in this series is you're going to Seattle 1-1. I would have taken that and ran if you offered it to me before the series started. You just said, Jay, do you want the series to play out, or do you take 1-1 and we just won't play the game? Give me the 1-1. I will take it. Hopefully the Mariners can get one tomorrow too. That would be huge because now you go from, like, right now, your worst case, you're in really good position. You win both on the road. You're in fantastic position. So there's still stuff on the line tomorrow. But the worst case is still a good scenario here for the Mariners. Now, of course, it'll turn to them having to get the job done at home. And Castillo likely goes tomorrow. So another thing is they'll probably go home with Gilbert, Kirby, and Wu on the mound for those 3 home games. So things lining up very well here for the Mariners. You also made the Jays use their top leverage arms today. This was better than winning like 13-0, where the Jays just punt it. They had to use Hoffman. They used Sir Anthony Dominguez. They used Little. They used Varland. And now do they use those guys? I'm sure they'll be available tomorrow, but you get that look at them, right? You get to see them a little bit. Mariners used their guys too, but they barely threw any pitches. Funny enough, after that first inning, Mariners pitching cruised in this game. I mean, they gave up 2 hits, 3 walks in this one. I think most of them were with 2 outs. And the Luke's walk was after the Springer home run. So after that, there was 3 more base runners through the next, 8 2/3 inning. I think Barger's walk was in that inning as well. Because Vlad flat. So Blue Jays had, let me slow down a little bit here. They had 4 base runners, the 2 hits, and I cannot talk today. Springer had a hit, Santander had a hit, Luke's had a walk, Barger had 2 walks. In the first inning, they had the Springer home run, the Luke's walk, and a Barger walk. So 3 of their 5 base runners were in that first inning. The rest of the game, you had a Santander single, which I think was in like the second or third, and then Barger walked in the 6th against Miller. That was it. Tremendous job by this pitching staff today. Absolutely tremendous. Sorry, it took me a minute to math that. Apparently, I'm on a little bit of a high from the win, so I think I'll be forgiven. Bullpen was outstanding. Gabe Spire, great to see him bounce back. Needed that. Not shocked. I wasn't worried about Spire. Just didn't get it done in that final game against Detroit. It happens, right? It's why you need the offense to put up some runs. It's why it takes the entire team. Not everybody's always going to be dialed in during a game. Spire just wasn't in game 4, game 5. He's been outstanding this year. He rebounded today. How about Matt Brash throwing strikes the last few times out? I talked about how on Friday I thought it was Brash's best outing of the season. This was up there as well. We know how nasty Matt Brash is, but there's always that issue of, is he going to have the command control? He has been pummeling the strike zone his last couple times out. And with Matt Brash's stuff, if he's hitting the strike zone, good luck. And then Munoz with an easy 9th inning. I thought for sure something's going to happen. Like, it can't be this easy to finish this game off here. But it ended up being that way. We talked about it in the preview that the Jays do not strike out a lot. They're a pretty good walk rate team for a team that doesn't strike out a ton, but Mariners pumping the strike zone. I think the Jays, I talked about yesterday, maybe they're going to be a little aggressive here because the Mariners throw so many strikes. And I think you saw that. I don't think their approach was bad. They're trying to put the ball in play and get hits, but it allowed the Mariners to get some quick outs. And not only that, I should have mentioned it in my preview. The Jays have been tremendous offense all season, but they have been beyond hot in the playoffs and against the Yankees. They pummeled the Yankees pitching. I think 5 runs was the lowest output they had in the 4 games. I think they scored 11, 13, 6 and 5. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, or 5 and 6. They have been on an absolute tear. So to do that to a team that's coming in that hot in front of their home fans, just tremendous. Let's get into the box score a little bit here. Again, cannot say enough good things about Bryce Miller. So happy for him. He deserved to win that game. I know the Blue Jays are out there fighting, trying to win too. So, if they didn't win, that is baseball sometimes. But that was just such a good outing from Bryce. 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 3 walks, 3 Ks. 3 days rest for Bryce, number 1. Number 2, he was really good. He'd take away any amount of rest time. He was fantastic in game 1 of the ALCS. And then after that first inning, 27 pitches to rebound. I thought we'd be looking at 4 innings of Emerson Hancock today. I'm like, Bryce is going to go 2 or 3. You're going to have to turn it over to Hancock. But no, he just stayed dialed in there. Mariners only strike out 4 hitters today. Not shocking. The Jays don't strike out a lot. Miller has 3. Brash has 1. Spire with a clean 7th. No walks, no hits. Same for Brash. No walks, no hits, and a strikeout. And then Munoz locks down his 2nd save of the postseason. Tremendous job by the bullpen. No base runners in 3 innings. That's how you locked out a game. Offensively, listen, struggles against Gausman early. They put some base runners on against him. Randy has a pretty good at-bat, but grounds out. Cal with a hard single. Julio with the base hit. Runners at the corners felt pretty good here. Polanco hits that grounder. I'm not going to lie. I think Cal might have been safe on it. Probably tough to overturn. I do think where you have the extra challenge in the playoffs, I do think Dan probably should have challenged it. I will say, though, while I think he might have been safe, I don't think that's getting overturned. I think it was too close and the call was out. So I think it would have stood as an out call there. And, and Polanco comes through later in the game, so I'm not going to harp on him. But the goal there is that Polanco has a better at-bat against that run. And then after that, and it looked pretty good. Mariners were hitting Gausman pretty hard, but then Gausman just settles in and really starts mowing the Mariners hitters down. That's the problem when you're facing a great pitcher like Kevin Gausman. You've got to take advantage of those opportunities early because a veteran like that is going to settle in. I thought John Schneider, a very surprising quick hook for Gausman. And maybe if Blue Jays fans are watching this, maybe there's something I'm missing there, but I didn't like that at all. Like, I can get a quick hook for a Bryce Miller. I can get a quick hook for, Shane Bieber, who hasn't, pitched a ton this year. I can get a quick hook, with Kirby facing Kerry Carpenter, stuff like that. Gosman's your horse, and the bullpen has been it. There's good stuff in that Blue Jays bullpen. Don't get me wrong; they can bring the heat, and they actually pitched okay today, I guess, for the most part. I'm really shocked though that Schneider did that. Now the Mariners got to look at all the big arms for the Jays out of that bullpen. So I thought that was a very quick hook. We hear all the things about Dan did this, Dan did that, and I've defended Dan. I think he's managed the playoffs fine, but it's nice to see another manager probably going to have to deal with some questions as well there, because I thought that was a very surprising quick hook for Gausman. And then Cal with the big home run, right? Top of the sixth, everything going the Jays' way. They're 1 out away from getting out of the sixth there. Gausman's then going to start the seventh. Probably a chance he could go 8 potentially. And then Cal with the home run continues to own the Toronto Blue Jays. I think that's his 9th home run, they were saying, in the Rogers Center. Just incredible from Cal Raleigh. And just keeping it going the postseason. 1.163 OPS this playoffs for Cal. And by the way, that's with 2 games against Tarek Skubal in there to boot. And just tremendous couple home runs for Cal this postseason. The MVP is giving an MVP playoff performance. It's what the best players do, right? You step up when your seasons are on the line, and Cal Raleigh doing that for the Mariners. And that, that's why keeping it 1-0 was huge, right? As bad as the offense was for the first 5 innings, you were still right there, bloop and a blast and a bloop, whatever you want to do here, you're right there. It's not done at 1-0. And I think had Bryce given up a couple more runs in the first, the game might have gotten out of hand. But you keep it 1-0, and then, we know the Mariners have power, right? I mean, 3rd most home runs in baseball. Someone's going to get one, right? Gausman's going to leave a splitter up to somebody, and it just happened to be the dumper. And then, not to be undone, but that walk by Julio was huge right after that, and that was the hook for Kevin Gausman. So, where it looked like he could go 7 or 8, you get him out there at 5 2/3. Schneider turns Polanco around. I also don't understand that, to be honest. I know Polo more power from the left side, but in that instance, obviously a home run is better than a single, gets 2 runs in, but I think you want to control the batting average a little bit more. There he goes to Little to face Polanco, lines a base hit down the line, 2-1 Mariners. And truthfully, that was all they needed. Good to see them out on a run. They had a chance, I think, in the 7th there when Gino doubled. Gino just missed a home run. Robles had the tough at-bat with him at 3rd, but then they come through in the 8th when Polanco singles after Randy works the walk, gets to second on a steal / kind of wild pitch. I think Cal struck out, and then Julio walked. Randy stole 3rd, right? Randy ends up stealing 3rd, and then Polanco singles, and Julio did walk, and that at-bat. So that was great to see the Mariners play a little add-on, which is so important here, and I think just gives you just enough breathing room there. Box score-wise, Randy 0 for 4 with a walk. Did have a couple huge stolen bases. Really want to see the bat get going. Randy's struggled this postseason, no doubt. I mean, good news is Mariners are up 1-0 in the ALCS, so there's still plenty of time for him to turn this around. But still made an impact. They had a nice catch there in left field as well. Cal, 2 for 4, home run, single, just the MVP. Julio with a nice game, had the base hit, also had 2 walks, so Julio on base 3 times. Really good to see. Polanco just clutch, 2 for 4. Really surprised when he didn't come through in that first inning there, because he's come through in those situations almost every time this year, but he redeems himself big time in this one. Naylor 0 for 4 did hit a couple fly balls to center field that I thought were going to get out. I will say, I feel like Naylor's been close to like 2 or 3 home runs this postseason. So I think he's been better than his numbers indicate. Gino 1 for 4 with the double, just missed a home run, had another pretty hard line out in the 2nd inning. Maybe seeing Gino come around a little bit here. Some better at bats today, got to a couple full counts. Certainly better. Dom was 0 for 4. Did advance the runner on the Gino double. That was actually nice to see the Mariners kind of station to station. So that was good from Dom. Victor Robles was 1 for 4 and kind of the bloop there. Would have been nice for him to get that run in the 7th. So again, doesn't hurt them today, but next time you want to get that run in. And JP 0 for 4, 7 hits, 3 walks, 11 Ks for the Mariners. Not a, offensive performance you're going to hang in the Louvre, but enough, right? Just enough to get it done. And when the pitchings is dialed in, as it's been all series for the Mariners, that's going to go a long way. Who's pitching? Did we get an announcement? I know the broadcast kept saying Castillo was going tomorrow. Have we gotten an update? Let's see. Is someone saying is it Logan? Is Logan going game 2? Can I type here? Sorry, I'm just looking it up to see. Logan Gilbert. Logan goes tomorrow. Interesting. Thought it would be Castillo, but Logan Gilbert. So ignore what I said earlier. They'd have those three at home. I think that makes sense. Logan's been better on the road. Castillo at home has been better. So Logan Gilbert will be on the bump for game 2 tomorrow. Love it. Puts pressure on the Jays, right? You got to beat, if you want to go tie the series, you got to beat Logan Gilbert tomorrow. Not going to be easy because he's been fantastic in this postseason as well. So let's go. Let's get up to nothing. But man, regardless, that is a huge, huge win for the Seattle Mariners. Worst case, they're going back to Seattle tied. Let's go up 2-0 here. Great win. Long way to go. Long way to go. Just as if they would have lost today. Was going to tell you guys, long way to go here. This doesn't change a whole lot. Still a long way to go. But the Mariners get a huge one to start this out. Bryce Miller, sensational. The Dumper's the MVP. Logan on the bump tomorrow. Game 2. Take care, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe. And as always, go Mariners. Up 1-0 in the ALCS. Peace.